Hey guys, this is Rob, Sigma 3 Survival School, and today I'm going to show you an improved version or a heavier version of our treadle deadfall trap. This can either be set out in trails, or it can be set out as, next to trails as a bait set, or next to dens, things like that. And this is the one trigger system that I show people for heavier game. Now keep in mind, this is not a short-term survival skill. This is a longer-term survival skill. If you're going to be out for weeks and you have a half a day to devote to building one of these in a really, really good spot that you know of, this is the kind of trap that I would throw up. It'll take anything as large as raccoon, maybe a little bit bigger if a small dog or something like a coyote or a fox was stupid enough to get under it. It might get him. But really, this is something I use for armadillos, large raccoons, and medium-sized game and stuff like that. It's a very sensitive trigger on a very simplistic trigger system that almost anybody can build. So the first step in building this trap is all you've got to do is take a medium-sized stick, maybe the size of your forearm or a little bit smaller, and lash it to the tree. It doesn't matter how you get it up here, just as long as you get it up here, and it will hold a fair amount of weight, not a ton of weight. A couple pieces of paracord comes in real handy. And then the next step is to start cutting your platform rafters, and then I'll show you how we're going to attach this. One of the most important things with trapping is tracking. So you have to find an area that has a good, thoroughfare of animals. And as you can see, this is a real well-worn trail that we're putting our trap up next to. And you want to put this in a transition area. You want to put it in between a large group of animals' bedding area and their feeding area. This is a trap that takes several hours to complete, so it's not something you're going to want to just set up for, a potential of 1 or 2 animals next to a den or something like that. You need to find a well-worn trail, either set it up over the trail or right next to the trail. That way, you can keep producing food from this, because this is a constant trail that's always used by a diverse amount of animals. After you get your crossbar assembled or lashed to the tree, then you need to worry about building a platform. And essentially you need about, anywhere from 5 to 10 about arm-sized logs. And you're going to lay those out. You need them to be straight, preferably some type of hardwood. I mean, any type of wood will work, but the less flex there is in it, the better. And then we're going to essentially lash a rail across the top portion here, very similar to how you would build a primitive raft. Cut 2 logs, about, maybe forearm, width and size, and you're going to put one on the top and then the other one on the bottom, preferably the skinnier one. Another 3. Just like a primitive raft would be. Set this on top, and then we're going to lash the 2 ends together. All you need is maybe a foot or 2 of rope, and lash it down and try to get it as tight as you possibly can. But let's say that this section isn't fitting together and this is sliding. You can actually make notches and form these together like you would on a raft to reduce the amount of cordage that you have. Because the only other way to really tighten these down is to wrap an individual piece of vine or cordage all the way through. But that's really unnecessary. This tied down pretty tight for us. I'm only saying this if you have trouble in finding straight sticks in your area. There's just some other options. So after you get your flat platform assembled and you lash these down, and then you lash another one at the rear, then you're basically going to just Lincoln log stack some bigger logs on top of this to make a carriage for the rocks that we're going to set in after we set it. And that's going to help us, you know, gauge for what size of animal that we're going for. Because we can add extra weight to this trap, we can go for as large as, you know, something as large as maybe even a small coyote. I'm not saying a coyote's necessarily going to go in this trap, but let's say, you know, we had a 40, 50-pound raccoon around here. Well, you need approximately 3 to 4 times the weight of whatever you're trying to trap in order to kill it. So to get those larger meat sources, which is what we want, that's an efficient use of our time for calories, and raccoons and things have lots and lots of calories and fat on them. That's the kind of stuff that I like to go after. Fish, bigger game, things like that, at least farther on into kind of your survival living situation, or your, you know, if you're just into bushcraft or whatever. So once I get this little carriage platform rigged up, then I'm just going to take a piece of paracord and tie it to this main beam right here that we used to cinch it down originally. And then I'm going to have, I'm going to tie a trigger stick, which is nothing more than a straight stick here with a notch for your rope to hold the rope in. And then I've got a 45 with a flat notch on this side. And once we get this tied on, I'm going to lift it up over, and then I can tie it down and do my trigger system. So as you can see, this is nothing more than a number 7 notch, and then this stick is 45'd, and you use the bar on the top as a lever. Now if your platform's really heavy, you might need to rough up the back side of the trigger here so that it stays together. Wrap the stick over with the cord over, connected to the middle bar, and then you've got your bar that connects all the way back, just tied to a little piece of string. And you're going to put your bait right here on the treadle, or you can leave it without bait if you're just using it as a trail setup as we are here, or you can combine it. There's a lot of things that you can do with this trap. But the whole point is there's not a whole lot of primitive traps out there with simplistic trigger systems and don't require tons and tons of work that you can catch larger game. So while this isn't something that you're going to do in a short-term survival setting, this is a good trap to know in case you ever do want to get a larger you know, animal such as raccoon or whatever. So peanut butter is one of the main things that I carry in my bag. It's really the only food I put in my bug out bag or scout kit, because not only is it super high in calories, but it's fantastic bait, so I can use it not only to feed myself and kind of get over the hump over the first few days, but I can start using it to produce food for me. So, you know, I can control the weight of this platform very easily. You know, once you get it set up and once you've lifted it, and it takes a little bit of oomph when you first lift it and set it, but once I get it to this point, you know, I can literally just hold this with a thumb. And so if I've got a lot of rocks, you know, just go ahead and set the stacked rock on there. If I've got like rocks right next to me, or if I take cuttings of wood, I can set those and just throw them in there as needed. While I'm controlling the weight of this. Let's set one more. And this is really the only kind of deadfall trigger system that I'm aware of. Make sure that's balanced. Put it over here more on this side. Now these are pretty heavy rocks, and this is a very, very heavy. Just the platform by itself probably weighs 150 pounds. So this is more than enough to get anything that's out here and then some. You know, so if I wanted to take something as large as a coyote, I mean, I built this rock, you know, or not rock, but little carriage area here to show you if you wanted to upscale this, you can. The platform by itself is heavy enough to probably take most stuff, and then I could just add a rock right onto the middle for however big I want to make it. And then once I get my bait done and I get the weight of everything, then I'm going to take it and just set it into the notch of the trigger here. And you got to be real mindful. You want to stay out in front of it, or out from front of it, because it will pop up and hit you in the face if it prematurely triggers. And that's very sensitive right now. And there you go. It's just as simple as that. Just nothing more than a 45 and a number 7 notch together with a little bit of bait in the middle. If you didn't have any bait, you could just set this up over a trail, and you know, when the animal disturbs the trigger stick, then you know, it's going to set the trap and you know, make it fall. Another way to do this is to take long sticks and actually set them as like a walking platform, so that the second that they step up here or on it, it'll also trigger it. If you have something smaller that is a little bit more finicky and will lick the bait off or something like that, you can build a little walking platform. Alright guys, here's the finished product. This is a real simple trap, that you can build in an afternoon. The reason I show this trap is so that you can, catch some of these medium-sized game, because there's not a whole lot of trigger systems out there that will go after that. There's plenty of stuff like Paiutes to get the smaller game, but you need something for some larger meat sources that's, hunting while you're not hunting, essentially. So the animal is going to come into your funnel. This is set up on a trail set. He's going to come along, and then he's going to, either mess with the bait, or he's accidentally going to bump into the toggle bar. And when he hits this, it falls and smashes him. So, this is a perfect style of trap for places, like down here in the south. Up north, they have, I've heard of 50, 60-pound raccoons, and there's not very many primitive traps systems out there that will take animals like this. If you're in South America or Central America, they have ginormous rats and things, so this would be a good survival technique down there also. If you've got an interest in learning some of these skills, this is one of the trigger systems that we teach in our advanced standard course, and as well as our survival trapping class. So if you want to come out here and learn how to put more meat on the table and make yourself more efficient in the books or in the bush, then come check out the class. Throw your commentary over in our forum, and as always, we appreciate your subscribership and your views. Thanks. Sigma 3 out.